Stopping your reactions is the first step to becoming untouchable. If you truly want to be untouchable, there is something you need to understand right away. Every time you react impulsively, you surrender your power. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. They let themselves be affected by any comment, any look, any situation that does not go as expected. And as long as you remain a reactive person, you will be easy to manipulate, easy to predict, and above all, easy to affect. Carl Jung spoke about how uncontrolled emotions are a reflection of unresolved internal shadows. In other words, if something disturbs you, if something destabilizes you, it is not because it holds power over you, but because there is something within you that you have not yet mastered. And here is where the problem begins. Why do you react so much? Because you care too much about things you shouldn't. You care too much about the opinions of others. You care too much about external validation. You care too much about feeling accepted or approved. Those who are truly untouchable have understood something that most people never grasp. Not everything deserves a reaction, and even less so, your energy. Every time you jump to defend yourself, every time you try to justify yourself, every time you respond with anger or frustration, you are making it clear that others can affect you, that they have control over you, even if just a little. But what happens when you learn not to react? When someone insults you, and you just look at them calmly? When someone tries to provoke you, and your face does not change even a fraction? When chaos unfolds around you, and you remain in peace? That is when you become untouchable. How to train yourself to stop reacting. Pause before responding. Most people respond without thinking. Someone attacks you, and you immediately become defensive. But when you train your mind to pause before reacting, you take control. Ask yourself, does this really deserve my energy? Almost always, the answer is no. Observe, but do not engage. Jung spoke about the importance of observation without identification. Not everything that happens needs your participation. Sometimes the best response is none at all. Learn to view situations as if you were a spectator in a movie. Practice selective indifference. This does not mean becoming emotionless, but rather choosing consciously what you give importance to. You cannot prevent someone from trying to provoke you, but you can prevent yourself from falling into their trap. Master your body language. Silence, calmness, and a neutral expression are powerful weapons. When someone tries to push you off center and you simply hold your posture, unmoved, without showing any obvious reaction, that is the moment you realize they no longer have power over you. Replace reaction with strategy. Instead of responding emotionally, choose to respond strategically. Sometimes saying nothing is the most powerful answer. Other times, a simple smile can disarm any attack. Do not get carried away by the moment. Think long-term. What happens when you stop reacting? When you reach this level, people perceive you differently. Some will be confused. They won't understand why you don't react as you used to. Others will become frustrated. A few will respect you even more, because the energy of someone who is untouchable can be felt, perceived, and imposed. But most importantly, you will feel different. You will realize that you are no longer a puppet to your emotions. Because being untouchable is not about being indifferent. It is about being so in control of yourself that nothing external can throw you off balance. Exercise to strengthen your emotional control. If you truly want to start practicing this, do the following. For 1 week, every time something provokes an impulsive reaction in you, wait 5 seconds before responding. Observe how your body reacts. Tension, discomfort, anxiety. Take it as a sign that there is still something you need to train. Make a list of the situations that trigger your reactions the most and analyze why. Each night, ask yourself, how many times today did I let something external affect me? Visualize the version of yourself that no longer falls into these traps. Make this mindset your identity. When something starts to change within you, you begin to see the world from another level. And best of all, when you learn to let go, this power multiplies even further. When you learn to let go, you become more powerful than you ever imagined. There is a truth that few understand. Attachment is the greatest weakness a person can have. Everything that binds you, everything you struggle to release, is exactly what keeps you vulnerable. Those who are truly untouchable have mastered the art of letting go. But here is the problem. Most people do not know how to let go. We cling to people, to situations, to expectations, believing that if we let go, we will lose something important. We were taught that letting go is losing, that walking away is giving up. But the reality is quite the opposite. When you learn to let go, you set yourself free. Carl Jung spoke about the importance of detachment as a fundamental process for individuation. He understood that those who fail to let go remain chained to their past, to their pain, and to things they will never be able to control. And this is where true power lies. When you no longer fear losing, you become untouchable. The mistake of clinging to what is not meant for you is one of the greatest barriers to personal growth. Ask yourself, how many times have you stayed in a place where you no longer belonged? How many times have you held on to a relationship that drained you simply because you were afraid to let go? How often have you tried to change someone, hoping that one day they would become the person you need them to be? Here is the truth you need to understand today. Nothing that you have to beg to stay is truly worth it. Nothing that has to be forced is genuinely yours. Anything that costs you your peace is simply too expensive. The strongest people have mastered the art of letting go quickly. They don't stay where they are not valued. They don't insist where there is no longer respect. And they don't fear losing because they understand that what is truly meant for them will never have to be forced. How can you let go without feeling like you're losing? Change your mindset about detachment. Jung said, "What you resist persists. What you accept transforms you." Letting go is not losing. It is accepting. Accepting that certain people were only meant to teach you something, not to stay forever. Accepting that some opportunities were never meant for you. Accepting that some cycles must close so that you can move forward. Face your fear of letting go. The main reason most people struggle with detachment is fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of making a mistake. Fear of regretting it later. But here's the secret. When you confront that fear, you realize it was never as big as you thought. Try this exercise for liberation. Think of something you are struggling to let go of today. It could be a relationship, a thought, or a situation. Now ask yourself, what would happen if I simply stopped carrying this burden? Imagine the lightness, the peace, the tranquility. That feeling of freedom is proof that letting go is the right choice. Repeat this phrase whenever you struggle to release something. I trust that what is meant for me will come effortlessly, because that is the truth. Nothing that is truly yours will ever need to be held onto desperately. Break the pattern of emotional attachment. The next time you feel the urge to hold on to something or someone that does not value you, do the opposite. Walk away. Observe what happens when you stop chasing after what wants to leave. You will discover that most of the time, when you let go, the universe surprises you with something even better. The ultimate test of whether you need to let go of something or someone is simple. Imagine that they are no longer in your life. Observe how you feel about that thought. If you feel peace instead of anxiety, you already have your answer. Often the real problem isn't attachment itself, but rather the resistance to accept the obvious. You cannot cling to something that is not meant to stay with you. When you master the art of letting go, your energy shifts. You no longer live in a state of lack, but in a state of abundance. People perceive you differently because the confidence of someone who is not afraid to lose is magnetic. You gain greater control over your life because you stop holding on to things that are not good for you. Letting go is the ultimate test of self-trust. Those who cannot release are still slaves to fear. But there is something even more powerful than letting go, the art of silence. And this is what separates the truly untouchable from the rest. Silence and mystery increase your value. The people who are truly unreachable have mastered an art that few understand. Silence. In a world where everyone wants to be seen, heard, and validated, the person who knows how to remain quiet and reserved has an unparalleled advantage. Not revealing too much, not reacting impulsively, and not offering unnecessary explanations make you someone others cannot easily decipher. And what people cannot decipher intrigues them. Carl Jung spoke extensively about the importance of introspection and how the most powerful individuals are those who control their own narrative. These people do not need to announce what they think, how they feel, or what they plan to do. Instead, they simply act, observe, and allow their results to speak for themselves. However, the majority of people lack control over their words and their energy. They talk excessively, explain too much, and constantly try to justify themselves. Every unnecessary word they utter becomes a piece of information that others can use against them. The psychology of silence and its impact on your life is profound. When you are too accessible, predictable, and talkative, you lose a sense of intrigue, and your value diminishes. Others feel like they already know everything about you, leaving no mystery, no depth, nothing that compels them to want to discover more. This principle applies to every aspect of life. In personal relationships, if you are always available and share every thought that crosses your mind, you become a safe but uninteresting option. People take you for granted. In the workplace, if you reveal too much about your plans and strategies, others can get ahead of you or take advantage of your information. In life in general, if you always attempt to explain your decisions, provide reasons for everything you do, or justify every step you take, others begin to feel entitled to have an opinion about your life. Fact number 1, the less you reveal, the more control you have. Silence is a shield. Not everyone needs to know what you think, and not everyone deserves access to your inner world. When you start speaking less and observing more, you begin to see the hidden dynamics behind every conversation. When you remain silent, you become unpredictable. No one truly knows what you are thinking, and that alone gives you a strategic advantage. Others respect you more because those who do not feel the need to constantly explain themselves project confidence. You also develop a heightened awareness of the energy of those around you. Listening more and speaking less allows you to identify hidden intentions in others. How to use mystery to your advantage. Do not reveal your plans until they are already in motion. Many people fail because they announce their moves before executing them. Do not warn others, just do it. Do not explain your decisions. You owe no one an explanation. If you have made a choice, stand firm in it and let the results speak for themselves. Control your body language. Mystery is not only about what you say, but also about how you behave. A neutral facial expression, a steady gaze, and well-timed pauses before speaking can have a greater impact than 1,000 words. Learn to enjoy silence. Do not feel the need to fill every moment with unnecessary words. Truly powerful individuals are comfortable with silence because they know they do not have to prove anything to anyone. Make people wonder about you. Do not reveal everything immediately. Leave space for curiosity. Interest increases when there is something left to discover. Be aware of the power of the pause. When someone asks you a difficult or uncomfortable question, do not rush to answer. Take a moment to think, to assess the situation. That pause makes others feel that whatever you are about to say carries weight and importance. Do not share your weaknesses with just anyone. People can use information against you. Ensure that those who have access to your vulnerabilities are individuals who truly deserve that privilege. A practical exercise to strengthen your silent presence. For 1 week, practice the following. Respond with fewer words. Do not explain more than necessary. Be clear, concise, and direct. Observe more than you speak. Analyze how people behave when you do not reveal all your information. Use pauses in your conversations. Before responding, take a deep breath and maintain control. Do not announce your plans before they become reality. Let people be surprised by your actions, not by your words. The result of mastering the art of silence. When you control your information and do not reveal everything immediately, people begin to see you differently. Some will feel uncomfortable because they cannot read your intentions. Others will admire you because you project a security that few possess. And some will try to decipher you because the unknown is always more intriguing than the predictable. Here lies the key. When you become a mystery, power shifts in your favor. But there is something else that makes truly untouchable individuals different. They do not just know when to remain silent, they also know when to prioritize themselves above all else. And that leads us to the next crucial point. When you prioritize yourself, power dynamics shift in your favor. Most people live their lives putting others first. They do everything to please, to fit in, to be accepted. And this is the mistake that makes them weak, because every time you put yourself last, you give someone else control over your life. Carl Jung also spoke about the importance of becoming a complete and independent person. However, achieving this is impossible if you continue to sacrifice yourself for people who would never do the same for you. Those who are truly unattainable have already understood this. When you prioritize yourself, the power dynamic shifts in your favor. But why does prioritizing yourself change your energy? The issue is that from an early age, we are conditioned to feel guilty for thinking about ourselves. We are taught that being selfish is wrong, that we must always give, that sacrifice is a virtue. But there is a significant difference between selfishness and self-love. Selfishness is demanding without giving. Self-love is giving, but without allowing yourself to be depleted. And this is the key. When you start prioritizing yourself, people begin to perceive you differently. You are no longer an easy option, someone they can use at their convenience. Instead, You become someone with standards. And the truth is, people respect those who have standards. The first unshakable fact: if you do not prioritize yourself, you will always be an option, never a priority. If you constantly sacrifice your time, your energy, and your well-being for others without receiving the same in return, all you are doing is training people to give you less than what you deserve. Think about it. If you are always available, you will never be valued. If you always say yes, people will assume you have no life of your own. If you do not respect yourself, no one else will. People who are truly unattainable have learned to set boundaries, not because they are cold or distant, but because they understand that their energy is valuable and should not be given away carelessly. So how can you start prioritizing yourself without guilt? Learn to say no without explanations. You do not have to justify why you do not want to do something. A simple no thank you is enough. Stop giving without reciprocity. If you notice that you are always the one making an effort, the one always putting in the work, pause and observe who is truly there for you. Cut access to those who do not value you. Not everyone deserves a place in your life. If someone only appears when they need something, remove them from your circle. Invest time in yourself before investing it in others. Never place anyone above your peace of mind. If something drains you more than it nourishes you, it is not worth it. Free yourself from the guilt of prioritizing yourself. You do not owe your time or energy to anyone. If someone is bothered by the fact that you put yourself first, that means they were benefiting from your self-neglect. Try this experiment and witness the immediate effects of prioritization. If you still have doubts about how prioritizing yourself can change your life, conduct this experiment for 1 week. Say no to something you genuinely do not want to do without feeling guilty. Observe how people react when you stop being constantly available. Take time for yourself without external interruptions. Reflect on how often you act out of obligation rather than genuine desire. You will be surprised by what happens next. Those who truly value you will respect your space and your limits. Those who are only around for their convenience will start to distance themselves. And that is exactly what you want. What happens when you become your own priority? When you start prioritizing yourself, people treat you differently. Those who genuinely appreciate you will stay and respect you even more. Those who are only around for their benefit will disappear. And those who once took you for granted will suddenly feel like they are losing you. But here is the real key. When you recognize your own worth, the world reflects that back to you, and there is an even higher level you must reach, the complete transformation of your presence. It is not just about prioritizing yourself. It is about radiating an energy that makes the world perceive you in an entirely different way. When you reach this level, everything changes. The world begins to treat you differently. When a person becomes truly unattainable, their energy shifts. They no longer beg, they do not chase, and they do not let themselves be dragged along by the desires of others. Instead, they know their worth and are not afraid to lose what does not serve them. People who have reached this level have developed a presence that can be felt. It is not something they say, it is something others perceive. When they walk into a room, people take notice. They do not seek validation. They do not crave approval. And because of that, suddenly, they start receiving more respect, more admiration, and more opportunities. The second unshakable fact: people respect those who are not afraid to lose anything. This is the power of prioritizing yourself. This is what separates those who are truly in control of their lives from those who are constantly at the mercy of others. When you master this, you stop existing on the terms of the world, and the world starts responding to you on yours. Carl Jung spoke about the concept of individuation, the process of becoming a complete person without relying on the external world. When you reach this level, the way others perceive you changes radically. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who doesn't need anything from anyone, yet for some reason, everyone wants to be around them? That's because independence is attractive. When you are self-sufficient, people stop taking you for granted. Those who once ignored you begin to seek you out. Opportunities come without you having to force them. Fact number 2, your presence becomes stronger without you having to say anything. People who are truly unattainable don't have to prove anything, don't seek to impress, and don't crave attention. Yet somehow, they still stand out. Why? Because self-assurance is magnetic. Observe the difference. Someone who seeks approval, talks too much, tries too hard to be liked, and desperately wants to fit in. Meanwhile, someone who is unattainable simply exists with a firm, unwavering energy without needing to prove anything. And here's the key point. When you reach this level, people start treating you as someone worth knowing. How do you consolidate this state and never go back? Reaching this level is one thing. Maintaining it is another. Here are 3 key principles to ensure you never become someone others can manipulate or control again. Never put anyone above your peace. If someone makes you doubt your worth, that person does not deserve a place in your life. Do not explain or justify yourself. When you make a decision, stand by it. You don't need to convince anyone that you're doing the right thing. Surround yourself with people who share this mindset. If you surround yourself with insecure people who rely on validation, it's only a matter of time before they drag you back into that cycle. Fact number 3. When you become unattainable, social dynamics shift in your favor. Being unattainable doesn't just mean people see you differently. It changes the entire game. The ones who once ignored you now seek you out. Those who thought they could manipulate you now feel uncomfortable in your presence. Opportunities start arriving effortlessly because people recognize the energy of someone who knows their worth. An exercise to maintain this mindset. If you truly want to make sure you never lose this mentality, do the following for 1 week. Observe who tries to get your attention and ask yourself if they truly deserve it. Every time you feel the urge to explain or justify yourself, stop and stay silent. Eliminate any behavior that signals desperation for acceptance. Every night, reflect. Did you act from a place of security today or from a need for validation? What happens when you reach this level? When you finally arrive at this point, the world responds differently. People admire you, but they don't fully understand why. They start treating you with more respect, even when you do nothing to demand it. You experience a freedom you never had before because you no longer need anything from anyone. Here's the difference. When you no longer seek approval, attention, or validation, you automatically become someone others seek out. But to get here, you must let go of everything that once made you dependent on the external world. And that's what sets apart those who remain trapped by the expectations of others from those who truly become unattainable. If you've made it this far, there's something you already know. Becoming unattainable is not an act of arrogance. It is an act of personal power. It is understanding that no one has the right to control manipulate, or make you feel less than you are. It is taking control of your own life and setting clear boundaries that no one can cross. Those who reach this level no longer play by the rules of others. They don't seek approval. They don't ask for permission to be who they are. And that is why the world treats them differently. Because when you stop chasing, you become the magnet. When you stop begging, you become the prize. When you stop explaining, you become a mystery. And mystery always attracts. When you adopt this mindset, your presence changes. You are no longer someone who can be ignored or taken for granted. The relationships that don't add value to your life disappear, leaving only those who truly respect your energy. Opportunities arrive effortlessly because confidence is magnetic, and people sense it. You gain mental peace because you no longer waste energy trying to fit in or please everyone. But this is not something that happens overnight. It is a decision you must make every single day. Every time you feel the urge to react impulsively, every time you want to explain yourself, every time you doubt your worth, remember, you decide whether to remain accessible or rise above it all. Your challenge from today onwards. I want you to do this. Comment below with the following declaration to reaffirm your commitment to this transformation. I choose to be unattainable for anything that does not add value to my life. My energy is precious, and I protect it. Let the world know that you are no longer the same person who once needed validation or attention. You are someone who respects and prioritizes themselves, who is not afraid to let go of what no longer serves them. And when you truly embody this, you will see how the world starts treating you the way you always deserve to be treated. Because being unattainable is not about distancing yourself from the world. It is about becoming your highest self. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and share it with. See you in the next video.